All right, well, it's 5:30. Let's go ahead and call the Planning Commission meeting for September, 23rd to order. Can we do the roll call? August? Oh, I'm jumping ahead.
Chairman Miller is absent today. Vice Chairman York.
Here.
Commissioner Mandel.
Here.
Commissioner Salazar Garza. Commissioner Munoz.
Here.
Commissioner Matagi.
Here.
Commissioner Lerma.
Here.
And Commissioner Hedrick.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you. Ruth, will you go ahead and read the public comment message?
Yes. Citizens will be allowed to attend and make public comments in person at City Planning Commission meetings. The public is invited to speak on any agenda item and any other items that pertain to the Planning Commission. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you choose to speak during this period, you will not be allowed to speak again when the specific item is being considered in order of the agenda. And if you'd like to speak, please sign up in the public comment sheet over here. And I have one other note for the commissioners. Different room, different strategies. When you speak, you have to turn your mic on and then turn it off in order for the live streaming to work. If you don't have your mic on, live stream won't pick up your voice and your comments. And if you have it on when everyone else is talking, then it picks up too much. So just on and off on your mic, please.
All right, with that, we're going ahead and open up the general public comment. So if there's anyone that has general comments not related to any agenda item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public comment and move on to item 3, approval of absences.
Commissioner Mandel, I move that we approve the absence for Commissioner Matagi.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry. Moving on to approval of minutes for the August 9th meeting.
Make a motion that we approve minutes from August 9th.
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we're going to move on to consent public hearing. Commissioners, are there any items that you would like to pull to be heard separately? All right, so we're going to pull item number 9. And then Commissioner Munoz is going to be abstaining from item 11. So let's go ahead and have items 1 through 8 and 10 read in, please. Sorry, 2 through 8 and 10.
Mark, you need to turn your mic on, the button.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mark Orozco, Development Services Planner. I'll be reading into record consent items A, B, and C on out of number 5. Starting with plats, item A, we have, excuse me, Woodland Estates, Block 5, lots 1RA, 1RB. This is a plat of 1.21 acres. It's located off the northeast corner of Williams Drive and Clare Drive. Item number 3, under plats, HSD addition, Block A, Lot 1. This is a replat of 2.84 acres. This is located at 11152 IH-37 Access Road at the intersection of Upriver Road and Violet Road. Number 4, Lexington Center, Unit 2. This is a replat of 3.2 acres located at 2202 Holly Road at the intersection of Holly Road and Highway 286, access northbound. The plats do meet the Texas Local Government Code. Staff recommends approval, and they are also meeting the Technical Review Committee comments. Moving on to item B, time extensions. Starting off with Oso Ranch Unit 2, this is the first request for a 6-month extension. Item number 6, Pin Oak Terminal Tract, this is a preliminary plat of 227.22 acres. This is the second request for them as well. Number 7, under plat extensions, the Vias PUD Final, 2.35 acres. This is a first request for a 12-month time extension. Number 8, Landmark at Airline Block 1, Lot 1. This is the final of 11.16 acres. This is a first request for a 12-month time extension. We do recommend approval for these items as well. Continuing with zoning, number 10, Sharkey Transportation. This is a ordinance rezoning a property at or near 4752 Sharksburg Road from the IL, excuse me, Light Industrial District to the ILSP Light Industrial District with a special permit. And that concludes our consent items for A, B, and C. Staff does recommend approval for the 2 new zoning items.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orozco. Any of the commissioners have questions for staff? Commissioner Lerma?
Yes, on item 6, on the second request for 24 months, can you guys give me a briefing on that a little better? Why is the applicant here? I'd like to hear from him why they want to extend for a 24-month period. Because normally we go 12 and then an additional 12. So is that the total of the
Correct.
24 months?
Is
that what we're looking at?
This is for a preliminary plat. So preliminary plats are for 2 years at a time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if I may, Mr. Lerma, the applicant said they needed to complete the site design, the site engineering. They're still working on that currently.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions on the consent items?
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for items 2 through 8 and 10. If there's anybody that would like to speak on those items, please come up. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain further discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve items 2 through 8 and 10 as read.
I second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, we're going to move on to item number 9, the zoning for Costa Blue. Yeah, item number 9.
They don't give you enough room to work. There we go. Nope, did it again. Does anyone know the modern version for F5? Mm-hmm. I can't even see it. Oh, this little one.
Far right.
this.
One more.
One more. Aha. There we go. That looks better. Good evening, Commissioners. Elena Bundeo with Development Services. The zoning case before you is 072306. The applicant is Costa Blue 914 South Port Series. The property is located at 914 South Port and is in District 1. The request is to rezone from the IL Light Industrial District to an ILSP with a special permit. The proposed use is to allow for a commercial daycare at this location. This would be adaptive reuse of a former place of worship. The property is 0.14 acres in size and is unplatted. The property falls within the West Side Area Development Plan, which is just updated in January. To the north and south, we have commercial uses zoned IL. To the east, low-density residential zoned RS6. And to the west, commercial uses zoned IL. Future land use designates this as mixed use. Of note, and this will be for a little bit later, the special permit to the north of the property is for parking at the taqueria that is at Ruth and Southport Avenue. Oh, I didn't know I made it that fancy. Some background information on the rezoning request. The property is currently being leased from the owners, 914 Southport Series, by DS Childcare. DS Childcare received a child care provider expansion grant from the Texas Workforce Commission. And the purpose of this grant is to offset operational costs associated with relocating her current home daycare into the proposed subject property and have a commercial daycare. In order to receive this grant, DS Childcare had to provide a clear business plan with a timeline for growth. She had to demonstrate demand in the market in which she intends to serve, provide a staffing plan, and a comprehensive financial plan to support the sustainability of the business. DS Childcare selected this subject property along with assistance from the Workforce Commission, focusing on childcare deserts. I've heard of food deserts, but I will admit this is the first time I'd heard of a childcare desert. And in a nutshell, they use census data and places, this is a heat map, where you have need children under the age of 5 and limited daycare services. Regarding land use, because mixed use is not exactly the same as light industrial with a special permit, I wanted to show the two. So you have the current land use up and down the corridor, which is primarily commercial. And then you see the future land use map that was updated along with the West Side ADP. And you can see that entire block is designated as mixed use. Regarding the required public notification, 19 notices were sent inside the buffer and 4 outside. To date, staff has received 0 in favor and 0 in opposition. Staff notes the following. The proposed rezoning, while inconsistent with the future land use map, is consistent with Plan CC and the West Side Area Development Plan by supporting economic development, entrepreneurship, and providing for essential needs such as daycare. The subject property is ideally sited in that it has been identified as a child care desert. Staff seeks to maintain the continuity along this corridor with the special permit, which will only allow for the use of a commercial daycare. Staff's recommendation is approval of the change of zoning with the SP. Subject to the following conditions. The only use allowed other than those in the base zoning district would be a commercial daycare. Off-street parking and loading would need to be addressed with a shared parking agreement, which has already been submitted by the applicant. This will include 4 employee parking spaces, along with a sort of drive-through plan with 5 vehicle stacking spaces. Occupancy needs to be limited to no more than 4 employees and 38 children. Screening of the outdoor area would be required as by the Texas Child Care licensing requirements. And normally your outdoor play area has to be in the side yard or the rear yard. The applicant has proposed that it is in the front yard, but it is not in the required street yard. And there will be no parking. The applicant must maintain their current Texas Child Care licensing, and the hours of operations will be from 6 until 7 p.m. And I have an illustration of the, and should anyone ask, the proposed off-street parking. They are having a shared use agreement with the owner of the restaurant at Ruth and Port, owns that entire property, plus the SP that we mentioned before, and the building that is adjacent to the property that's being rezoned. And there's enough parking for all three uses. Staff stands by for any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioners have any questions for staff?
The playground that you said they're going to be installing in there, what is the minimum or the maximum size that they can build on there?
The applicant already began, this zoning request began with a building permit, and they realized they didn't have the correct zoning, so we're trying to fix that. She already had outdoor space delineated with fencing up. That is the exact amount that is required by state licensing. The only thing that the UDC requires is that it be screened and the location of it.
And again, where did you say the location of the playground was going to be?
In front of the building.
In front of the building.
There will be no parking in front of the building.
So in front of the building, because I have a picture of the front of the building, and to the right is a, it looks like a car lot or some kind of business that has a lot of vehicles. It does have a, looks like a, you know, a metal fence, but it's not totally fenced in, okay? And I know that, I think right next to that, there's a lot of other industrial businesses. I know one of them is a paint and body business, and then across the street, I think is a pharmacy that's been there for many, many years. So I just find it a little difficult to picture that playground being right there, and if they're going to be fencing all that in as well?
If you're looking at the property from Port Avenue, you have approximately 40 feet that included parking for the previous church. They have bollards up. They're gonna actually fence that in, and the area that you are referencing is about 20 feet from the street yard, is about 20 feet from the property line. The property to its right is listed as a commercially zoned, commercial use.
Okay. What's the square footage of the area? They're already operating right
No,
now.
they're not operating.
They're not, but that was a church,
It was a church.
and they're trying to convert it into a little daycare.
They're really not doing anything to the building at all. What triggered this is she needed an extra door for fire code. And that triggered a building review, which let us know that that's a commercial daycare being requested in light industrial.
And what's the square footage of the building that they're going to be operating in?
I have the applicant here.
Okay, I guess we can.
The square footage of the building? Oh. Yes, there we go, 2,500 square feet.
25.
Because we had to calculate parking based on square footage.
Okay. All right, that's good enough for me. Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, any other questions for staff?
I have a
Commissioner Lerma?
question. Yes, sir, thank you. Playground equipment, what's the safety code on playground equipment? Is that going to be sitting on concrete, asphalt? What is it going to be? Is there a safety?
I'll have to defer to, I don't know that we do any sort of
Does the state
permitting.
require any kind of a safety code as far as if there's slides, swings, or whatever? Are these kids, if they fall, are they gonna land on concrete? Are they gonna land on asphalt? I'm just
Or
curious.
clay or dirt.
Yeah, I mean, or are they going to put the rubber mulch, something to protect them if they do fall in that playground
There
area?
is nothing in the UDC that
Requires that?
requires those items, but in order to be licensed with Texas, they will have to go in, and that's where she started with the fencing is up. It is the only thing that's up for the outdoor play area. The rest of it hasn't been inspected because we haven't gotten past the land use.
Or is there going to be some kind of cover from the sun beating down on this
Mr.
equipment?
Lerma, I think the applicant will be able to address the design of the playground.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioners, any other questions for staff before we go to the public hearing?
I just have one.
Go ahead, Commissioner Munoz.
You said that there was no parking near the playground, but the drawing you have that shows the site plan does show 2 parking spaces, and I just want to clarify, is that a misprint, or will there in fact be 2 parking spaces there?
This took some time to get to you guys. We were ironing out a lot of the wrinkles. So this was the latest before we had agreed to no parking in the front. It's not going to be necessary. With the shared parking agreement is going to handle all the parking.
Perfect, thank you.
But if you'd like, we can also write in the SP that there is no parking.
All right, any additional questions? Okay, with that, we will open the public hearing for item number 9. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please come up, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
To mess with anything up here? Can you hear me? Or what do I do? Okay. Right here? It's on? Oh, okay. It's just, I'm short. Okay. Hi, my name is Dolores Lucio. I'm at 5902 Air Street, Lot 210. I have a licensed home child care right now. I'm in the process of trying to do everything in my power to open the one at 914, and I understand the safety of the children come first all the time, even at home with me. And it's 80 square feet per child in the child care where they need for them to play in. And the fenced-in area, yes, I'm aware, of course, of what needs to be, what's going to be in that area where they can play. It can also be toys that are going to be taken in and out, hula hoops, any kind of, something for them to have fun with. Like I said, their safety comes first. I understand that. And it is equipped for what was needed through the licensing. I mean, we measured, we did everything, and it's not a concrete area where they're going to be playing, and I don't have the covered area on top yet. I was waiting to see, just waiting, because I still have to install the door, and I have to wait until we're done with this. But like I said, I've done this for 40 years. I've in one business for 16, in one child care, 16 in one, 16 in another, 8 subbing for CCISD, and now 8 on my own with a licensed home. And with the expansion, I'll be able to help the parents with infants and toddlers. I don't have infants and toddlers right now. I have a preschool environment. And yes, I'm going Texas Rising Star, and so will the center when it all happens. But it's, like I said, it's the safety, and I understand, it's the safety of the children all the time that comes first, no matter what, no matter where I'm at or what. But like I said, I don't know if you have any questions for me, but.
And I understand, and I think that's great. My only concern is because of the area. I mean, it is an older area, it is rough, okay?
I've
And there
been
is
out
a
there.
lot of industrial out there, and for these kids to be 5 years and younger, I think, my mentality as a mother, these kind of things, you can never be too careful.
I understand.
And, I mean,
I have
just
a
see it.
waiting list, and I have my parents that I've spoken to, the restaurants around there that need me, that need the childcare. I have done my research. Let me tell you, I've gone to speak to people, I mean, everywhere around the area. And the right across the street from me, where it's Conviva,
Yeah, it's a medical.
Yes,
Yes.
that one also.
It's also an elderly daycare.
Yes. And I spoke to them also just for staff, staffing to their staff and stuff like that, and just to see who would need any childcare around there. O'Reilly's down the street also, and several of the restaurants.
Yeah, I'm not questioning
Oh,
the
no,
need.
I-
I'm not questioning the need for the child, the daycare.
And I will.
I just want to take all precautions that
yes.
have to do with
Oh,
these
yeah,
little ones because
definitely. Oh,
being
yes.
a child, they just get curious and
Oh,
they start to
yes,
go off. And this is one of the
definitely.
things, and being in this area, yeah, I just think we need to take a lot more precautions in making sure that these kids are
I'm
going to be safe.
100% on that. I agree, 100%. And like I said, I've done the research. I've done, everything I could possibly do to see about the outside area also, because there is an area in the back where where they can play also, and it's grassed and everything, which you can do bubbles or other things for them, and it's fenced in and all that.
What
But the
kind of
one-
fence is it that you're going to be placing?
The fence that's already there, it's a chain link fence in the front. The one in the back is like a privacy fence.
Okay.
And it has, yeah, it's a privacy fence in the back area. So I'll have those two areas. It's just that the back area wasn't big enough for all, even though you don't take all the children out at one time, I understand that. But it just wasn't big enough for licensing to approve that area only. So they said, you can use this area also. So I said, okay, then let's make this one safe for the children.
So you're
And-
actually abiding all by what the licensing is requiring
yes.
of you?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I have, yes, definitely.
All right.
I just, like I said, gotta follow the rules, gotta be, like I said, it's the safety of the children.
Of course.
And I don't doubt that at all. And,
Okay.
and like I said, I do have a waiting list. I do know, parents do know where it's at, and that's about it.
All right, thank you.
The applicant provided,
Thank you.
she needed to secure demand and need, so she has parent surveys from current parents that she provides child care services for. They're okay with the relocation as well as those on her wait list.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak about, regarding item 9? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Joe Ortiz. I live at 3718 Mendenhall here in Corpus Christi. I was been in the American GI Forum for more than 20 years. I was National Civil Rights Director for the American GI Forum, and for 5 years I was District Director for LULAC. And the reason why I'm here is because this area is a distressed area where we do need establishments like this, daycare centers. I think that mothers also deserve a place where they can drive close to their home. I know it's the west side, I know it's a distressed area, I know it's an industrial area, but that shouldn't keep a child care center from being there. I would much rather see a child care center there than a bar or a paint and body shop. We need this in this area. I don't know if any one of y'all live in the west side of town, but I can tell you it's an improvement. I'm also a designer, builder. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've designed about 10 child care centers in my lifetime. And this is a need in this area that Corpus needs in this area because of the distressed area again. And mothers deserve to have a child care center near their houses. So I'm asking you to consider this. They've gone through all the safety items that's required by the state. And as far as your question is, Mr. Ledma, they have padding on the playground, so the child won't get scratched or anything like that. They've gone through every safety item that you can think of. Again, they've already been pre-approved by the state. The only thing that's keeping them from opening is y'all. So I'm hoping that y'all would consider this and vote in favor of getting this child care center. And I pray that you make the right decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on item number 9? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain further discussion or a motion.
I just want to say that I agree, and I think this is a great idea. We, as Corpus Christi area and as a planning commissioner, I take it very personal to try to, have the development and growth of older neighborhoods to making them better, because that is what we're here to do. And I really like the fact of trying to make a change in the older areas. But I just always like to make sure that these things that we're going to be developing and coming into Corpus Christi and making it new is going to be something that's going to be nice and safe. Number one, safety for all, especially the little ones that are going to be growing up in Corpus Christi, because they're our future. So therefore, we really need to take it to heart in taking care of these little kids regardless of where they're, being cared for. And so I agree with the fact that you're trying to do something here, and I'm sure you've worked really hard at it. So I'm just glad to see that this is something that we're making changes in. Thank you.
I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation on item 9.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 9 passes. We're going to move on to item number 11, and Commissioner Munoz will be abstaining from this item.
I love my iPhone, but other than that, I really do repel technology. Apologies. If we go back 20 years, I can program a VCR.
I'll say, I don't know that you have to show the whole, it's still consent agenda. We
Oh,
just
we
have
just need to
one
read it.
commissioner
There's-
abstaining, yeah, so we just
we
need to
got-
read it in.
Alrighty then. Let me pull up the agenda. Thank you, sir. I think the agenda's pulled up. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Reading into consent C11, Legistar Agenda Item 231398, zoning case number 0823-03, Corpus Christi Spawn Health System, property located at or near 1314 3rd Street, and the rezoning request is from the RM1 SP, multifamily district with a special permit to the CG2 General Commercial District. Staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we will open the public hearing for item number 11. Would anybody like to speak on item 11? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jerry Kramer. I'm with CLK Architects. I'm here representing Christus Health in this request, and I'm just here available to answer any questions that you might have that I can provide guidance on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions? All right. Anybody else like to speak on item number 11? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain further discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve item 11 is read.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to the public hearing item number 12. Will somebody let Mr. Munoz know?
Oh, I know. It's easier said than done. Here we go. Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, Elena Buendeo with Development Services for the record. The case before you is 0723-05, the applicant to Circle K Stores. The subject property is located in District 1 and located at 11102 Upriver Road. The request is from the RS6, Single Family 6 District to the CG2 General Commercial District. As you may recall, this case was originally on the agenda on July 26th of this year and was tabled pending TxDOT input to today's meeting. To recap from July 26th, the proposed use is for the expansion of an existing convenience store to include diesel fueling stations. The property is part of the Northwest Area Development Plan. To the north, properties are vacant, zoned RS6. To the south, vacant, zoned CG2. To the east, properties are low-density residential and commercial, zoned RS6. To the west, properties are vacant and commercial, zoned CG2. And the future land use map designates this property for floodplain conservation. Public notification has stayed the same. 11 notices mailed inside the required 200-foot buffer, 2 notices in, 0 received in favor, 0 received in opposition. Staff notes the following. The subject property is located at a signalized intersection, Violet Road and Upriver Road. The signalized intersection is a T intersection, and the subject property is on the top of that intersection. Buffer yard setbacks and visual screening will be required where there is adjacency to residential uses. Of importance is that access from the subject property to IH-37 is less than 500 feet in length, making the site appropriate, limiting traffic intrusions into the neighborhood. The rezoning would accommodate an existing use with the CG2 district, and the request will not have an adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood. IH-37 is part of the Texas Highway Freight Network. As a note, 1 in 16 jobs in Texas are directly supported by freight transportation. No new driveways will be required. TxDOT, we did request TxDOT's input, and they stated they did not have any issues with the rezoning. The signalized intersection and immediate access to 37 were decision drivers for the applicant. And the proposed development addresses a need for truck fueling locations. City's traffic engineering department was also consulted, and we had them review peak hour trip form information, which is what an applicant has to submit to determine if there's going to be any traffic issues. If a TIA is needed, it is requested or required anytime there's going to be a change to the future land use. And they confirmed our data. In front of you, you have a site plan. Commercial businesses are to the north, signalized intersection, again, a T intersection, and a little demonstration of just the 500 feet to IH-37. We have some additional photos showing the 500 feet to getting to 37. Staff recommends approval and stands by for any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, anybody have questions for staff?
I don't have any questions, but I have comments. Since I was the one that brought this up on a safety issue back in July.
I have one more, sir, for you.
Oh,
Sorry
okay.
about that. My apologies. As can happen sometimes, the permitting process has begun. It is not necessarily cleared yet because we need to do zoning. You did approve the plat earlier. And part of the building permit was this vehicle maneuver plan, and that is what will be reviewed by, before the permit is issued. It's as part of the permitting process.
Okay. My biggest concern the last time that I spoke on this item was a safety issue, 18-wheelers coming off of the Violet exit. I did my own study, my own homework. I actually went out there a couple of days and I sat during peak hours for 2 hours and I watched traffic flow, okay? The last time I did this was about a year and a half ago. So definitely things have changed out there, and they've changed due to the traffic signal that's out there. It seems to me that changes that were made on that traffic signal to speed traffic up flow, because it's continually changing. Not the last time that I was out there, you could easily get 50 vehicles in line before that light ever changed. I was lucky to count 15 vehicles every time that, stopped at that light, and the light would change by the time the 15, 16 vehicle would actually. So somebody made adjustments, which I think is good. That was great that was done because the traffic flow is much better now. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I did go out there since it's in my district and not my area out there, because I had that concern since they're going to be building an apartment complex a little further up from where the Circle K is, but it's not going to have any impact in it. Good luck in the mornings getting to work. That's the only thing I say, But as far as the afternoon traffic, it flows great. So at this time, I would definitely, if there's no other questions from any other commissioners, I would definitely seek approval of this recommendation from staff. I make a motion that we approve this.
Hold that thought. We need to do public. Does anybody else have questions for
No,
staff?
we didn't. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
And the applicant
I'll
is
hold it.
here.
No problem. We'll go ahead and open the public comment for item 12. If you have any comments to make, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move that we accept recommendation from staff to approve this item.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to item 13, discussion possible action on designating a name for a new bridge.
How did you get out those cover pages? How did you get out? Huh? It's delicate. Okay. Is it in the document? Or what are you gonna connect yours, or is it already in there?
It should be in the public works.
Okay.
Is it this folder? I'm not good without mouses. Let's just pull this up right here. Good evening, Commissioners. Renee Couture, Department of Public Works. This evening, I'm here to present an item to designate the new bridge, the new Park Road 22 bridge, to designate it as a Don Patricio Bridge. The history behind this is that this bridge project began construction a few years ago. City entered into an advanced funding agreement with TxDOT to construct this bridge project. It's currently under construction, slated to be completed later this fall. In conjunction with the opening of the bridge, the city desired to give the bridge a name, and by naming it the Don Patricio Bridge, we had to submit a letter request to TxDOT in accordance with their regulations to get approval for the naming, and they granted a written request to move forward with that naming. Some history behind the name is that the Don Patricio Bridge was actually the first causeway to the island back in 1927 when it was first constructed. It was destroyed by a hurricane back in 1933. I guess other symbolism to the name is that former council member Greg Smith, District 4, he was a proponent for this bridge project. And he has roots, I guess, family that owned, Patrick Dunn, that owned land there on the island and was, owned land on the island around that time frame when that original causeway was built. So we, the Department of Public Works, we support this request. We'll be installing all the signs, maintaining it thereafter, and we're just seeking support. The Transportation Advisory Commission couldn't hold a quorum, so we're bringing this item, to a successor body, not necessarily a successor, but another city body for approval or support of this resolution before we take it to council. Stand by for any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Just for clarification, so typically it would go to the Transportation Board and not to the Planning Commission?
Correct. We'd prefer to take it that direction, but they didn't have a quorum, so. We came to y'all, next body, I guess.
Well, I want to say that as I read this, I thought this was really, really great of y'all to do this, because I had no idea that this even happened in our history, and to think that we're going to do something to keep that history. I think that makes Corpus and the island just more interesting when we're able to bring back something that happened years ago, that I was born and raised in Corpus and I had no idea.
Yeah, I can't recall, but the Color Times did an article on the whole causeway, and I think Patrick Dunn, and some of the history of that island at the time. So this is bringing back some of that history, and TxDOT is allowing us, although Parkway 22 is their facility, that bridge is city project, and they're allowing us to designate that name, the bridge, with that name.
Well, I think that's great, and I like the name. Mr. Tag.
I like the name. I heard you say this fall. Can we hold you to that?
Well, yeah, it's engineering, not me, but engineering services has said. I know the document had November. I think that may have changed to October. I'm not sure, but I'm not managing the project per se. But I do know it's early this fall, and in conjunction with the opening, I think they'd like to dedicate the naming too as well.
Sounds good. All right. Any other questions for staff? All right, this is a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for this item. Is there anyone from the public would like to speak on item 13? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion or discussion.
I move that we approve the naming of the Don Patricio Bridge per staff recommendation.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to item 8, Director's Report.
There's no report this evening.
All righty, does anybody have future agenda items to consider? Seeing none, we are adjourned.